This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeah, it's the Ramble. We go until midnight tonight. Hey, right over there, folks. There he is. That's Stephen Kravitz, a guy we love to talk to. You're so much fun, and you're so good to talk to, and we have a nice conversation, and so on. I was just thinking. I was watching Letterman on YouTube, and the couple of times that he was able on Stupid Petrix to have a talking dog.
Right.
You know, one said Obama, and the other one,
really?
The other one said I love you, and you could hear him say it. I love you, you know. So, and it reminded me of the classic joke. I think. Let me get rid of something here. The classic joke. I do believe. If we're going to talk about classic jokes, I have to get all this stuff out of the way of the. Okay, there we go. The classic joke, I think, always is a guy walks into a bar with a talking dog. Right?
Okay.
Talking dog jokes. Do you know any talking dog jokes?
No.
You want to hear the best talking dog joke I ever heard?
Lay it on me.
Guy walks into a bar. He says to the bartender, "Will you give me a free drink if my dog can talk?" He says, "Your dog can talk?" He says, "Yeah, my dog can talk." And he says, "Okay, make your dog talk." And the dog says, "Okay, who's the current president of the United States?" And the dog goes, "Joe Biden." He says, "That's amazing. Your dog can talk?" He says, "Yeah, the dog can talk." He says, "Would you do me a favor?" He says, "Here's $20. Have the dog go over to my competitor across the street."
Okay.
And have him go in and order a drink. And then after he drinks the drink, say, "This drink stinks."
Okay.
So the guy says, "Okay." So he gives the dog the $20 so the dog can buy the drinks, right?
Right.
Dog puts it in his mouth, is walking across the street. The dog doesn't come back. They don't understand what's happening. He goes out to the middle of the street, and there in the middle of the street is his dog humping another dog. And he yells out to the dog, "Why are you doing that?" And the dog yells back, "Well, I never had $20 before."
Good night.
The other one, the classic one, is where he goes into a bar and he says, "What's on the top of a building?" And the dog goes, "Ruth." He says, "Who's the greatest baseball player of all time?" He goes, "Ruth." And finally the bartender throws them both out on the street, and the dog looks at the guy and goes, "What, it was DiMaggio?"
Good night.
You know, yeah, So, but you don't know any talking dog jokes?
No.
Do you know any jokes? Because I'm very bad at jokes. I once somebody can tell me a joke, and then I'll go tell it to somebody else, and then it disappears from my mind.
Right.
You know, they're
I do not know any jokes.
You don't know any. You don't know any per se jokes. Wow. See, I mean,
two Jews walk into a bar.
Yeah.
And they buy it.
Yes, I know that. I was going to say that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. That's
my entire repertoire
of jokes.
Jokes.
Well, we could say you make up your own jokes.
Pardon me?
You make up your own jokes.
Yes.
But in your case, I mean, if I remember your act correctly, and I think I do, and I have a copy of it here actually when you were at one of my shows.
Really?
Yeah, I should put it up and stuff sometime so people can see it. It is up somewhere. I don't know where you go for it. But anyway, if you go to GabNet TV, it's there. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, on Roku. The fact of the matter is, you don't tell jokes as much as you do a routine.
Right. I tell a story.
You tell a story, yeah.
Right.
And I think a lot of comedians today don't tell jokes. You know who told jokes? Henny Youngman told jokes.
Right.
They go up on stage and they do one joke after another.
Right.
I'm trying to think. We had a modern version of that in what's his name? Oh God, I'm trying to think which comedian it was who just told jokes. It was one joke unrelated to the joke before it.
Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright was one of them. Stephen Wright was traditional that way. He told jokes. And Rodney Dangerfield told jokes.
Right.
In other words, it was one joke after another. It wasn't one thread of something like, well, the funny thing about eating dinner out, and then you do a bunch of dinner out stuff material.
Right.
But the traditional telling a joke. And Henny, I don't know how a guy like Henny Youngman remembered that many jokes. Okay?
And especially, didn't he borrow jokes?
No, Burl stole jokes.
Oh, there you go.
Burl
That's
did.
right.
But Milton Berle, folks, for those of you who are too old to remember that sort of thing, Milton Berle used to do that. But Henny Youngman wasn't a very good comic. I never thought he was terribly funny. I thought what made him funny is he was so bad.
Right.
Right. And so after a while, he became a national treasure because he was so bad, not because he was so good.
Right.
And then his wife died. And his big line always was, "Take my wife, please."
Right.
And he kept using it. Hey, I'm in show business. Fuck it. It's a good piece of material. I'm going to use it.
Right.
I asked Slayton when his wife died, did he get rid of all the wife material? And he said he kind of started to get rid of it, but he couldn't get rid of it completely because it was a big part of his act.
Right.
My wife does this, my wife says that,
Right.
So he just would do the material rather than go up on stage and say, "Well, my wife died, but let me tell you about her while she was still alive."
Right.
That would kill the crowd.
Yeah, opening up with "my wife died," probably not a good start.
And bring my wife back, please.
Right.
Just doesn't seem to work. So how is that up there? You know what it is down here? We're getting, my eyes are burning. Been burning the last couple of days. They burn all the time, but they're burning more than usual. You know what from?
From what?
The California fires.
Are you serious?
All that smoke has gotten out here and is permeating Manhattan. I can look out my window and there is a haze of smoke. That's how bad the wildfires are out in California.
The whole West Coast.
Yeah. Are you getting it up there? Are they saying you're getting it up there? No.
No.
He's up in Massachusetts, folks.
No.
Yeah, no. Okay. How's life going for you in Massachusetts?
It's okay. It's okay.
What
you know what I mean?
You seem to have your reservations. I mean, would you rather be in San Francisco?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Why?
San Francisco is such a great city.
They say it isn't anymore.
Yeah, they say it's horrible.
They say it's pretty horrible now. And,
Right.
and I mean, Bubbles, when I talk to him, always says to me, well, you wouldn't recognize it now. You wouldn't like what you see.
Really?
Yeah. It's that bad. So, you got homeless people sleeping in the streets.
Right.
You've got the COVID thing hit there pretty hard, although it got better. But they just say, and it's terribly expensive to live there because all the people came up from Silicon Valley.
Right.
Because all the companies moved their offices out of they had them still in Silicon Valley, but they had satellites in San Francisco. You remember where we used to do our radio show in the
Right.
Furniture Mart, that building? Remember this terrible studio we had, the old one, this
Right.
really small one. That's now Twitter. That whole building.
Right.
That whole building is Twitter. So you get like a couple of thousand people moving up from the South Bay, maybe 10,000, to work at Twitter,
Right.
and they're going to look for apartments, and those people have a lot of money.
Right.
So,
There's the difference.
so the landlords see them coming and they raise the rents. So now to get an
Right.
apartment, and I used to pay, what was it? I used to pay about originally in the marina. I paid about $800 a month.
Right.
When I finally left, it was like up to 1,000 for one of my apartments and 1,600 for the other.
Okay.
Today, it'd be $8,000.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you couldn't afford to live in San Francisco.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And neither
No.
could I.
I couldn't afford to live in New York.
Well, we still have a problem with this apartment. Who knows? I mean, we haven't been paying rent for 8 years. If they ever try to collect it, we're out of here. We can't afford
Right.
it. They won't, I'm sure.
Right.
But it's still a possibility, and we think about it and we go, and then how do we move all this stuff out? We probably just leave it and say fuck it.
Right.
We're gonna have a lot of electronic equipment. So I mean, it really is. But if we had to move, I don't think we could move back into New York City.
Right.
Marjorie, but we have to kind of because Marjorie's still working.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we'd have to use her income as proof that we were capable of paying rent.
Right.
Our combined incomes are okay.
Right.
But I mean, it's just where do we move? And do we want to move? Do we want to stay here? Does she want to leave there, sell her place, get a little place upstate,
Right.
and live as hermits? So, and I don't know if I want to do that. That doesn't sound, I would love to live in the country.
Ah, you're a city boy.
Not really. I'll tell you. Whenever I was in any way in the country, I loved it. I just loved the casualness of it all. I could live without a city. I don't take advantage of the city. What do I do here?
Right.
For a year and a quarter, I never even left the apartment, for crying out loud.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, very rarely did I ever go out. I went out for emergencies. I went out, let's see here. COVID didn't hit till right after my last cancer procedure. Okay. Which I was very lucky, because if I had waited a week, I wouldn't have been able to get it for a
Right.
year. So I got it, and then after that, everything shut down. Well, as my father used to say, it shut up tighter than a cow's ass at fly time. I never knew what that meant, but it seemed like a funny term.
Yeah.
And it was that way. It was terrible here. And I just never went out. So I never took advantage of the city. And now that I do go out, I take a walk down to the Harlem Mere here and back, and that's it. I don't even, if I don't have to, I don't even go below 110th Street. So it's, I don't know that I take advantage of New York any longer.
Right.
I don't know that I would miss it. I think every night when I went to sleep and I heard crickets instead of kids blowing fireworks up,
Right.
I think I might say this is the nice life here. So who knows? It's pretty quiet where you are, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 So you're used to the quiet.
Yes.
In fact,
I mean, I grew up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I grew up here. Now I'm back.
Is your family happy to have you there?
Most of the time.
Most of the most of the time.
I don't know about all the time.
Yeah. So what do you got? Cousins and you have brothers and sisters?
I got brothers, no
Yeah.
sisters.
You got brothers. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Were you the youngest?
Middle.
Middle. Oh, so what's it like? They say that destiny is the order in which you're born. That the oldest always has a certain personality, the middle has a certain personality, and the youngest has a certain personality, and it's all
Okay.
dictated by birth order.
Well, I have one older brother and one younger brother.
Okay.
Now, my older brother
Hmm.
is the golden child.
He's the golden child. What do you mean by golden child?
Well, they lost two before he survived.
Oh, they lost two before he survived.
Right. So he's also the firstborn, and he's firstborn male. So he's the golden child.
Got to be because they go, hey, we lost two, and now this one survived. God
Right.
bless them. But they
And then I
managed.
come,
What's
and then
what's
I
in
come like,
what's interesting is they lost two, then they
Right.
finally had one that took, and then they did it twice again.
yeah. But I'm like 15 months behind my older brother, almost like an afterthought.
It,
You know?
in other words, they had babies. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, well, 15 months is pretty close to the first one.
Right, right,
Wait a
right.
minute, wait a
And then now my younger brother's 3 years.
You're younger. Oh, you have a younger brother. Yeah, you're the middle brother. Okay,
Right,
right.
right.
Okay,
So he's the baby.
okay.
And then there's the golden child and the baby, and then there's me,
You.
you know? So I learned that negative attention was still attention.
I see.
And it was intense and it was immediate.
Do you
So-
think that was any reason why you became a comedian? Because you craved attention?
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. I
Yeah.
never thought about that. You know what I mean? But I do like to also very much engage with the audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I like to not only tell stories, but I like to play with the audience.
Well, did you find as a middle child, in order to get attention, you had to do something like performing? You had to kind of get their attention through some kind of action, as it were?
Yes. Yes.
And how would that play itself out?
Well, let's say I did something bad, and my mom would say, "Go stand in the corner," and I would say, "No," and she'd say, "Go stand in the corner," and I'd say, "No." So she'd go and she'd empty out the waste paper basket, clean it out, pick me up, and put me in it, and say, "Now, stay in the corner."
That's not exactly child abuse, is it?
No.
No, it's not child abuse at all.
Now, when she threw shoes, here's something I learned
Yeah.
when I was a teenager.
Okay.
And when she would hit me, which was very rarely, but on special occasions, it didn't hurt anymore. You know, I was like 15 and she would hit me and it was like, it didn't hurt. So never laugh at somebody who is hitting you.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You see, because she snapped and she threw every shoe in the house at me and she bit my arm.
Wow. You must have been a bad kid. Or
I guess I needed a lot of attention.
well, no, an infuriating kid. Oh, so but you do think that the reason, like when you, let's say she would make you stand in the corner, and she would put you in a wastebasket, or she would do any of those things. Did you feel satisfied by that? Because she was paying attention? God, I feel like a shrink here. God.
Yeah, I feel like I'm being psychoanalyzed.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
No, you know, I don't know. Also, my mother passed away when I was I was still a teenager.
Wow.
She was only 47.
What'd she die of?
Cancer.
At 47?
Right.
Oh, God. Well, that's got to be devastating to you.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that in spite of the fact that she spanked you and put you in a garbage can, you still, it sounds like you still loved her.
Oh, very much.
Yeah, yeah.
Very much.
My parents, I'm trying to think of the way they when I was bad, what they would do. My father never would hit me. He didn't
No.
believe in that. Didn't believe in it.
No.
Never spanked me. But you know what it was? My father was German. And when he got mad, he had this very loud voice.
Really?
and it scared the shit out of me. You know,
See, my father would just stare at me.
but he would yell at me, and Bolo, because that was my nickname. Bolo, don't do that.
Right?
And I would pay attention to that. That was as bad as a spanking, for crying out loud.
My dad never, ever, ever laid a hand on us. But what we did is, me and my younger brother shared a room growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how kids are. Sometimes they make noise.
Yeah.
And it would wake him up, and he'd have to, get up early to go to work. So what he'd do is he'd open up the door,
Mm-hmm.
take off his belt, right?
Yeah.
Fold it in half and snap it. You know how you snap a belt?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then hang it on the doorknob and go back to his room.
Wow.
And it worked every time.
Well, I think the reason why I especially didn't like my father yelling at me was that I love my father a lot, and I
Right.
didn't want his disapproval. I mean,
Right.
and I think if you're a good parent, you don't have to spank a kid. You just have to put that kid in fear of your disapproval. In other
Right.
words, I always have stuff getting in the way of the picture here, and my cursor was there. You get this feeling that the best way to raise a kid is by making them respect you enough that they don't want your disapproval.
Right.
That's the worst thing that can happen.
Right.
And I lost my father. I was pretty young. I was in my 20s when he went.
Right.
He went at 59. So I'm sitting here at 81 going, God,
Well, Alex, one side of my family dies very young.
yeah.
Like my mother's father died when she was 2. My mother's mother died when she was 10. My mother died when she was 47. My nephew died when he was 22. Right?
Wow. What did he
That's
die?
one side. That's one.
What did he die of?
He had a heart attack in his sleep.
At 22?
Yeah.
Boy, he must have been doing a lot of coke.
No.
Jeez.
They did. That's what I thought. But they did a talk screen, and he was completely clean.
Oh, God.
So one side of my family dies very young.
Yeah.
The other side of the family just won't fucking die.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandparents were married 81 years. She died, she was 104.
Oh, God.
He died at 102. My father died at 92. So, like I said, one side of the family dies very young.
Yeah.
One side of the family just won't fucking die.
I remember something about you, and it's vague, so you're going to have to fill me in, but you always seemed to be, always thought a lot about your mother dying young. I think there was something
Yeah.
about a tombstone that had to be put up or something.
That's when I was a finalist in the comedy competition in '85. Me and my brothers pitched in and put a headstone on a grave. And the reason it was so important is I was back there one winter and she only had a plaque, and there was a lot of snow on the ground, and I couldn't find her grave, and I kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
So that's when we made a pact. We would put a headstone on the grave.
You know how bad a son I am? I
How's that?
haven't put a tombstone up on my mother's grave yet.
Really?
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of people, and they say they haven't either.
Right.
Because they feel that tombstones are unnecessary. That it's basically garish.
Right.
It's a pronouncement. Here lies so and so. Well, what's lying there? A bunch of bones,
Right.
and decaying
If that.
flesh, and so on. Marjorie, my wife, says she wants to cremate me.
I want to be cremated.
And I don't, well, how do you know? I mean, if there is an afterlife and you get up there and you're just a pile of ashes, I mean, what are they going to say? I'm sorry, we can't do anything with you here. If you at least came here in one piece.
I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, well, I really don't know. And who knows? Is there an afterlife? Well, we can discuss that on another occasion because we're slowly running out of time here.
Really?
But yeah, I talk with you, and it just goes on and on and on. And I don't do this long a time with anybody. In fact, last week I decided not to run my show. I just put your interview up, and it
Right.
got more viewers than any of my shows.
Really?
Yes, so I may just put this one up by itself as well.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
How do you like that?
How do you like that? Anyway.
Maybe we could call this the Kretching Hour.
Well, no, I mean, we learned a lot about you today. You
Yeah.
know? And it's all because we just get conversant and talk and
Right.
so on, you know.
Right,
And,
right.
I was the oldest child in my family. I was also
Really?
I was also the youngest and the middle child.
You're an only child.
I was an only child, which
Yeah.
my wife hates. She always goes, "You're an only child. You're spoiled."
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Are you jealous of that fact?
Right.
You know, does that bother you that I was an only
How
child?
many siblings does she have?
She had two. I think she has a brother. That I know.
Right.
And I don't think she's ever mentioned anybody else, but I'll have to ask her. I didn't ask. That's how much I care about other people. You know, I mean, I'm living with
Right.
somebody and I don't know how many. But, you know, I do know her brother because he's been here. He's come to see her. So,
Right.
you know, I know she has a brother. You know.
Right.
Hey, listen, we've run out of time.
All right.
This is so much fun. And neither of us have anything to do this time of the day anyway. So,
No, not really.
any important things you're going to do today?
I think there's a nap in my future.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's called, the new segment is now called Getting Older with Steve Kravitz. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Alex.
We'll see you
Thanks,
next time.
folks.
Bye-bye.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
That's Steve Kravitz. You know, we always say it, and it's true. We really love Steve Kravitz. I love talking with him because it's just a conversation with two people trying to just find out more about each other. And he was always one of my favorites when he was on the air with me in San Francisco. And it was pretty terrific, pretty terrific. We have a panel waiting. We'll get to them in just a second. I went to the eye doctor today. They're going to do my lids. If you have seen pictures of people who've had their lids done, it's pretty gruesome. They go up here and they lift this eyelid. See, what happens is my eyes have started drooping, and they've drooped. You notice how they droop halfway? Like if you look, half of my eyeball is covered by my eye that droops. And so that kind of cuts out a certain amount of vision for me. And so he's got to do that and the bottoms. And then after he does it, I've got to put ice on my eyes for 2 days. 15 minutes on one eye, then 15 minutes on the next eye, and 15 minutes the next eye, and 15 minutes the next eye. And whatever I'm doing, I can be at the computer, boom, 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 boom. But I've got to keep ice on it. Okay, and then I got to sleep on my back for 3 days. And believe me, I'm not doing a show. Okay. The reason being that I will, number one, for the first couple of days, I'm not going to feel great. I'm not going to feel terrible, he says, but I'm not going to feel great. And for the next week or so, I am going to look like somebody beat the crap out of me. Now, I figure after about 3 days, I think this is going to happen on a Wednesday. It's September 28th. It's a long way away. But I have this for September 28th. And so I probably wouldn't do anything for the next 3 nights. And then the following Monday, I might do one of my little shows. But you'll probably see me with dark glasses on, because you will not want to see what I look like, okay? But he says after about, he said 8 days to 2 weeks, all the bruising should go away. So, well, but that's a couple of months away. So that's in the future. But I'm going to do it. What the hell? Bite the bullet, do it, and I'll look a little bit better. But basically, I'm not doing the bags, so that won't go away. But it will kind of make my eyes open more and not look as tired all the time. So anyway, and it's not cosmetic. This is not done for cosmetic reasons. In fact, Medicare covers it. It's called ptosis or something like that. I don't have the exact name right here now, but it's a very common affliction. He says he's done 2,500 of these, and I always like to talk to this guy because he's the guy I go to for the cosmetic things and also for just things like this. He's a surgeon. He's an eye surgeon, and I like him a lot. And I won't say who he is, but I will say that he has a relative. His brother-in-law was one of the biggies in the Trump organization, which is terrible because this guy is the most lefty. He's probably to the left of me, okay? And it always bothered him. But he's a great guy, and I trust him, and it looks like it'll be okay. Anyway, I think it's time for us to admit all the people that are waiting, which is only 4 people. We don't know how many more are going to join us. And I think we have somebody tonight who isn't normally here. Wait a minute, let me hold on. Sorry. And bring this into gallery mode so that they all look right. And hello, Matt. How are you?
Hey, Alex.
Welcome back, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Where are you calling from again?
Just getting unpacked and everything in Seattle.
Seattle. Okay.
Yep.
What happened to Charlene Martinez? Oh, yeah, you were moving is what it was the last time we talked. And you were going to Seattle, which is a nice town.
Yeah.
You know,
it's very nice here. I've been unpacking ever since I last spoke with you. It's
lots of coffee.
Exhausting.
Lots of coffee up there. You know?
Yeah.
Why did you decide on Seattle?
My first criteria was no state income tax.
Oh,
because
okay.
this is my last move, and and then I just started researching it more and more, and I was like, why the hell didn't I go there in the first place? Yeah, it's really, really beautiful here.
Yeah,
there's some the water is just like 2 miles away, where you can just hike around, bike around. And it's just incredible.
Is it smoky up there?
No, I heard you mention something about smoke from California, but
I looked out my window today. I could not see downtown. Okay, that's how bad it was. Okay, it is. In fact, let me turn on the air conditioning a little more. The fact is that it's been terrible, just been terrible, and my eyes have been burning a lot. But I looked out tonight, and they didn't seem like they were burning as much. And I looked out, and it seems like I could then see like the Empire State Building, but it was so bad here, and it was all the smoke coming from the West Coast. You know, so it's not been fun. Hello to Charlie Wallace. We haven't seen Charlie in a couple of days. Charlie is out there doing the umpiring thing, right?
Rained out tonight.
You got rained out tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, gee. So I have to pray for rain is what I have to do, right?
Well, lately you don't have to pray much. It's been raining like an SOB here in Texas this year.
Oh,
Send
really?
it to California. We need it.
Yeah. It's terrible out in California. And hello to Charlene. We haven't seen Charlene in a while. And hello to Tony. Hi, how you doing, Tony?
Tony got a haircut.
You got a haircut.
Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he?
I did.
Yeah.
The last time we saw him, he kind of looked like Gumby.
Yeah, even my haircutter guy, Zach, the old man, he goes, "Oh my God," he cut me off pretty good.
Yeah, well, when's the last time you got a haircut?
Well, that's what he said. I said, "Zach, you weren't here that day, so I'm guessing it was at least 2 months ago."
Oh, so you did get one a while ago.
Yeah.
I see. My wife does mine. Started doing mine when we had the COVID deal. And I went out and got one of those hair cutters, right? Which were very hard to lay your hands on at that time. They were buying them up like crazy. But I got one, and she tried it once, and it looked okay. So I said, do it again. And now that I can go back to my barber, I'm not going back to him. I have no reason to. Come on, with my hair, what do I need to do? Okay? What do I need to do?
You can comb your hair with a wash rag.
That's
Shine
correct.
it up.
That's correct. Just buff it. Yeah.
Yeah, buff it up.
Yeah, yeah. So I forgot, Matt. What do you do for a career?
I just got a job. I came here without a job, and
really?
I found one that started a couple days ago.
Really?
Doing some IT support.
Oh, I was going to say, how is it at Starbucks? You know, but
it's really weird here. I mean, I shouldn't say weird. It's just so different. And I was at this meetup, and I was talking with some people, and I said something about how long. I said, how easy is it to get pot around here? And they all looked at me like I was crazy.
Oh yeah,
like,
you're nuts.
Kidding me? Because apparently this was the first state that had it.
I think it was maybe it was the first or maybe it was the second. It was either Portland, it was either Oregon or Seattle.
Yeah, well, these guys told me it was Seattle or it was Washington.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but apparently you can just go anywhere and just walk out with a joint there.
Yeah, but there are stores also where you can buy the stuff, aren't there? As well.
That's what I'm told. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you go into those places. They got everything. They got the pot, and they got the gummies, and they got the vape stuff, and they got it all. Any way they can get it in your body, they do it.
I'm thinking of revisiting my childhood and start smoking pot again.
You know, I saw a thing on CBS tonight where they were doing a report on kids who are accidentally eating these medicinal gummies because they come in a little tin and they look like candy, and a kid sees them and he just downs them, and this mother talks about having to take her kid to the hospital, and they're doing the whole report saying these kids have been overdosing on marijuana, and I started to think, have any of you ever overdosed on marijuana? What is overdosing on marijuana? You eat a whole bunch of famous Amos cookies?
All right.
I eat a whole bunch
Pop-Tarts.
of gums.
You get paranoid.
I can
when you
understand when the
overdose.
kid is a little freaked out and is a little agitated from it and perhaps needs some kind of trank to mitigate it, no matter how many of them the kid ate. But the idea that to broadcast this and say overdosed is I don't know if you can overdose on pot.
Like it's heroin or something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things you can overdose on,
Now, did you say it was a child?
Yeah, it was a child. Yeah. And they say
maybe
a lot of
childs were possible.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a question of, is their life in danger because they overdosed from pot? No.
Yeah.
They said, oh, then the kid went home and was okay. Of course the kid went home and was okay. The kid peed a couple of times. It was out of his system. And, he maybe, couldn't get a job at a Christian camp, but he couldn't pass the pee test, but, but it just got me that was the way they were reporting it. And how far behind are they on the curve on this? And the mother, to her credit, said, "It's my fault. I should have put this somewhere where the kid wouldn't find them."
Obviously, she's not in California. They would have arrested her for child endangerment.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she said I shouldn't have left it out. I shouldn't have left it where the kid would have found it, and it's my fault. And I thought that was wonderful of her to say.
I think it's a good idea too, but California's screwed up. So.
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm not going back there anytime soon. Yes, Alan.
Did anybody see the exchange yesterday between Dr. Fauci and the idiot ophthalmologist, Rand Paul?
Yeah.
That was great.
Well, I think Rand Paul, anytime he goes before that committee, knows that Fauci knows that anytime he goes before that committee, Rand Paul's going to do some kind of publicity trick. And I think he's just sick of it, and he just let him have it.
Good.
You're calling me irresponsible. Are you telling me that I'm spreading lies? You're spreading lies, and dangerous ones at that.
What surprised me? Oh, I'm sorry. What
saying,
surprised me was Mitch McConnell, the head of the Senate on the Republican side, announced yesterday that everybody ought to get COVID shots. So it's about time. It's a little late, but I think what they're seeing is a lot of Republicans did not get them, and they're dying and they're losing their base. Oh
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yes, Matt, you said you were going to say something.
I was just every time I see this attack on Fauci, I think of what you guys all talk about. What the fuck are they Why are they doing this? What is this strategy? It's a pointless goal. I don't understand it at all.
By the
I
way,
always say
I have somebody here that's trying to get on, named
Donald Duck.
Connor Gender Rocks. Do you think it's anybody we know?
I don't know.
John's already here.
Larkin's already here.
Larkin's already here.
Tony's already here. And
Yeah.
the car thief is already here. So
I
Yeah.
heard Phil last night.
Well, I'm gonna remove him from the. Well, I just won't answer it. Okay, I'll let him sit there for a while and waste.
I
his-
watched the show
waste his
last
time.
night after I got home from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And talking
Wait a
about
minute, you bring up a subject and we're discussing it, and then
Oh,
you
sorry.
automatically bring up another subject
don't know,
while
I've
we're
been
still
loose today.
discussing the subject you brought up.
Okay.
Do you want to move on to another subject? Is that what you want to do?
No, I
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up something funny that happened yesterday that I think you'll find funny.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway,
you-
so
Go ahead. It's your show. Go ahead. I'll after
you
we're done
noticed
with
that? Did you notice that? Where'd you
Yeah.
get that idea?
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, Matt, I mean, what he did was terrible. I mean, and the kind of thing that people are kind of, what can I call it? The kind of thing they're saying to their public is, don't get the shots. They're dangerous. I read a thing tonight which was quite interesting. I can't remember what state it was, but it was one of these states that has had a situation. This is another guy named A. Nigger Hater.
Ooh.
Is he just black? I'm guessing he's white.
Yep. Now I'm going to go remove, and of course
I mean,
it's
who
going to
does
say
something?
here, and I'm going to say report to Zoom,
Absolutely.
and then it's going to ask me what I want to do, and I'm going to say, let's see here, offensive, illegal, or abusive, uninvited guest, trademark infringement, impersonation. I would say offensive and illegal. Okay, all right, and we will send that, and there it says
Absolutely.
done. Okay, and then we are going to, I think, we'll also remove Connor Gendrocks, and I'll remove that, and they of course send me another note. It always goes up right where everybody is talking, and I will just say abusive, okay, and submit. Okay, there we go, done. Okay, folks, we got rid of them, I think. I don't know. In fact, I don't think they can call back now.
I'm actually surprised that Zoom doesn't have some software that stops the racist comments like that.
Well, a name like that shouldn't even be allowed to go through.
I don't mean the name, I mean the racist
Yeah,
part.
I mean they can try. I'm just not going to let them through. The only thing is that it comes up on my screen,
Right.
and then that goes out on the air, and it's. I wish it would come up on the screen off more to the side, but anyway. But they don't seem to be calling back. No, anyways, I was saying that guys like what's his name, Rand Paul, are spreading misinformation. Oh, and what I saw was that a doctor was saying in a hospital in one of these southern states where they have a very bad rate of people getting the shot. He said, I can't tell you how many people are in here. And just before we intubate them, because when you intubate them, they got about a 20% chance of surviving. That means you're going off to La La Land, okay? He said just before we intubate them, most of them say, "Can you give me the vaccine now? Will that cure it?" And he says, "I have to tell them it's a little too late, pal.
A little too late now.
So,
They probably said if you weren't a Republican, you would have got the shot.
Well, I don't think it's just. We
All
can't
of
just say
this.
they're just Republicans. You know.
You're right.
But let's say they're just stupid. And when people like Rand Paul do what they do, they're endangering the population.
Absolutely.
And they shouldn't be allowed to do so. I mean, yeah, we believe in freedom of speech, but do we have freedom of speech? It's like yelling fire in a crowded theater, you know?
Hopefully Rand Paul's in there if it was real.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, yes, John?
Did you see the guys on Fox and Friends? The clip was going around, and one guy, the older guy, was going, well, it makes sense to get the vaccine. It appears that the only people that are dying are the people that haven't got the vaccine. And the other guy looks at him and goes, well, that's their choice.
Oh, well, I mean, I agree with that. It's their choice. And so far as I'm concerned, it's a way of weeding out the stupid, isn't it? It's Darwin.
The trouble is
he
Natural
was
selection.
arguing for the freedom, that's their freedom,
Freedom to die.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, you have a freedom to be idiotic and stupid, Nobody argues with that. But I don't understand why these people. I mean, I saw one guy who was in the hospital, right? And he had COVID, and he was coming out the other side of it, and he said, I still wouldn't get the vaccine because it's dangerous. And they made the point. He said it's dangerous because it is the CDC has only approved it for experimental purposes or whatever that reason was that they gave. Emergency. And he said, but what he doesn't realize is all the other drugs we pumped into him come under that same classification. Yeah. But he took them,
I saw a thing today. Apparently, in September, it's supposed to get full approval.
It's supposed to get full
so
approval.
A little ways to go.
Well, I mean, what's holding him back now?
The guy was like, "Oh, we have to, keep our integrity, otherwise, we lose that." So
I don't know. I have certain reservations about the CDC. Sometimes I think they're a little too careful. I mean, let's face it. It was like when AIDS happened, and they had all these AIDS drugs, and the CDC says, "Well, first we have to test them," and people said, "Test them on us because we're going to die unless we get something that works." Right. And they played hell getting the CDC to allow them to try these drugs. And a lot of them did help. I mean, today, you get AIDS, you don't die. Okay? Pretty much. But I mean, the CDC has always been that way. And I think it's, get me something too, will you, Matt?
I needed a sugar high. I'm a little blood sugar.
Is he making sandwiches?
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Cookies and milk. Oh, licorice.
Yes, licorice. My favorite. Red vine.
I can't.
Isn't there a law that you were not allowed, if you were trying to kill yourself, you could actually go to prison for doing that? Is that true?
I'm trying to remember. In some states, I think it was illegal to commit suicide. So if you're going to do it, you better be good at it.
Well, aren't they really doing the same thing?
Well,
no, they're taking people with them because they don't get sick and other people get sick.
This one guy said something very important. The guy that said, he had COVID. He was in the hospital. He was deathly ill. Coming out the other side, he said, as soon as I'm out of here, I'm going out and getting a vaccination. I'm going to get the full course of vaccinations. And then they asked him, well, why didn't you have it before? And he said, well, I read on Facebook it wasn't good for you. Somehow, these social, and all these social platforms will tell you now, oh, well, we really should have done something about that. Yeah, and you should have done something about Trump, and he should have done something about this, and he should have done something about that. How about Zoom? When they see that somebody has signed up with the name A Nigger Hater, Shouldn't they do the job of blocking it rather than me?
That was my point.
Yeah, yeah, you said that. And they really should. These companies don't want to do more than they have to do until they are intimidated into doing it. And that's the problem. I mean, they
probably would have let them in if they said they
yes,
hated
Charlene.
I was watching The View today, and they say that I think Facebook is gonna do a thing where if something's racist like that, it will like wash it away, like it won't go through because they were all complaining, those women on there, that Sunny is African American or whatever, Spanish or something, but she says she gets a lot of hate, like trolling and stuff like that, because of her color and things like that. So she says she's very happy now that she won't have to be subjected to all this hate because it upset her a lot. She said.
Well, you know something, I hate to say to her that you don't accept the hate. That's not something you do, but you have to let it roll off like water off your back. Because it goes with the territory. You want to be on television, you want to have political comments, you're going to get people saying horrible things.
If she can't stand the heat, she should get out of the kitchen a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's just something you should expect.
Right. But Meghan McCain said she thought it was a good idea too, though.
Yeah.
And she's leaving The View, right?
Is she?
She said, yeah, she's getting off, I think. I don't know why, but her and Whoopi don't get along or something. I don't know.
It's too bad.
I don't know if that's why, but yeah, it is very stupid.
Well, I mean, I think if I'm going to have somebody on that show as a right winger, Meghan McCain is probably as good as anybody. Yes, Alan.
Okay, now that we got off COVID for a minute, your show last night with you and Phil, and like I said, I think you'll find this funny. Why did you spend $900 to fly first class? Well, today he flew American, and his flight got delayed out of Denver, and it got delayed, and it got delayed, and they moved him from first class on the aircraft that wasn't going to leave to United in the back of a 757, and he is pissed.
And he's still paying the $800?
$900.
$900? Oh.
And he's right now, it looks like, according to the little air thing, he's like over Las Vegas or something like that. But
imagine he's got a little kid next to him.
$900 you should go direct. He flies to Phoenix and back through Phoenix.
You're kidding. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and first.
Well, my feeling is, look, he's going to Denver. If you're going to go to Denver, you don't buy a first class ticket.
Is that a long flight?
How long does it take?
Like an hour.
2 hours.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, you can't sit in a cramped seat for 2.5 hours just so that you can pay $900 for a less cramped seat.
Well, he told me the reason he got up in first class was because he could go to the bathroom and use it 5 or 6 times without anybody in line.
He's gonna clog the toilet.
You know something? If you had an emergency and you were starting to piss your pants, as could be his problem, okay? I'm not making fun of him.
He has no prostate.
I came close to having that same problem.
Really?
Right.
But all I'm saying is, then you just tell them, listen, I have a prostate problem. I have my prostate removed. I need to go to a bathroom fast. They say, go right up, use the first class. That's what they'd say.
Right, absolutely.
And if they didn't, then you just take out a cup and pee in front of them. Really?
Just piss your pants. Who cares?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
What?
Excuse me while I whip this out. He said.
Oh no, back up.
Yeah.
So what is he flying $900 to come back?
It was $900 round trip.
Oh, I was gonna. That's still
Just
a lot
because
of money.
he likes to say I went first class.
Well, that's what it is.
Hey,
Okay.
if you're flying to Europe, pay whatever it takes to be comfortable. When I go to China, it takes how long does it take to get to China? It took about, I think, 14 hours.
Wow.
Maybe 16 hours and 16 hours back, and it's a nonstop flight. But it's a little roomier just because it happened to be a Chinese flight, and they have pretty old planes that have a lot of room, I took it and I didn't have any problem. I didn't buy first class. We got in the seat. I took a Valium and I fell asleep. Yes, Matt.
I have to say, when I flew from Texas to California on my way here, flying sucks right now. I mean, wearing a mask on the plane is just torture. I don't want to do it anymore. I know we have to wear them, but I don't have to fly. It's miserable. Southwest sucks. My flight was, my connecting flight was delayed. I didn't get in until like 2 in the morning or something. And that whole thing of that whole cattle call of how you line up with the numbers, like a bunch of little sheep.
Listen,
get rid of that.
Matt, I don't want to sound like an old fart, but when I was a kid and I started taking airlines, it was like a fancy day out. Everybody on the plane, all the men on the plane wore suits. All the women were wearing their finery, okay?
Gloves and hats, yeah.
Yeah, and then they'd serve you great food, great little lunch, on the plane, and you're in coach. You're in coach. You're not in first class. You're in coach.
I know you're not
nice
gonna
And
fly
they
again,
treat
Matt.
you. They would treat you. Everybody would get on the plane and let's get you on here as fast as possible and so on. And now they treat you like absolute cattle.
Yeah.
Well,
And
have you seen him? How
There's
many
a way
people are
around
freaking
it.
Wait,
out?
let Matt talk. Yes, Matt.
Oh,
I was just
sorry.
say, if your flight is delayed and you change planes,
Mhm.
you lose your slot in line. You get your reservation early,
Mhm.
like a good little boy.
Yeah.
I had like B1 or something.
Yeah.
And I ended up in the very, very last row because I get kicked out. At least I got onto a flight, but I lose my my spot because I had to change planes
Oh,
to a different plane that I was supposed to be on.
see.
And so it was just miserable. Even though that final leg was only like an hour, you can't you can't retract your seat at all. And you're right in the bathroom. People are constantly going by. Just miserable.
Yeah, but they weren't getting our business for the better part of a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you would think that once they got our business back, they'd start treating us a little better. But no, they treat us the same shitty way they treated us before the pandemic started.
Worse.
And yes, Alan.
So I've flown Southwest a lot, and I don't like cattle call. A friend of mine that's a pilot used to be a pilot for them, said there's a trick. You go to the ticket counter before the flight and say you're handicapped or you're old and you need extra time getting down the ramp. You're first on the aircraft, even if you bought the cheapest seat on the aircraft.
Bill should have
Oh, well, the
Really?
best thing that happened to me ever, okay, it's the worst thing that happened to Marjorie, but it was the best thing that happened to me, is we went to Europe, and during the trip to Europe, her back got worse and worse and worse and worse to the point where she had crutches, that she was using in order to get around. I mean, it got that bad. I mean, I couldn't see half the towns we were going to because she couldn't leave the hotel room. Well,
That's sad.
I left without her, but I mean, the fact was,
What a prick.
well, no, she said go enjoy it, like she never saw Siena, she just saw the inside of a hotel room. Okay, one day I took the car and I put her in it. And I drove her around in Siena to let her see it a little bit from the car. But anyway, she was in that bad a shape. Going back, we said, well, she's got this problem. And immediately they said, wheelchair, please. And they got a wheelchair. And every flight we went on, we were the first ones on. They wheeled her in. And when we got to a place where we had to go from one part of the airport to another part of the airport, they had a special bus for us to take us there. They took us up to the front of the line. We barely had to go through customs. We just had to kind of show we didn't have any guns or anything. On we go, roll her right through. So if you ever have a real problem, just wear crutches.
Most airlines take your word. You tell them you're handicapped and you have a bad leg, they'll take your word for it.
No.
Although,
yeah.
why didn't you just tell them you're Alex Bennett? They would have given you first class.
No. That's the worst way to get on a plane. Yes.
It seems like the policy is being abused because when you go now, by the time they let on families with kids, the military, the handicapped, there's like 50 people already on the plane.
Southwest lets you buy your way into those first rows.
$50.
Yeah, but
or
you can
25
do
each
it.
Wait a
way.
minute. No, the first rows are the last to board.
What,
No,
what
it's
I
just by
meant
group.
is- what I
Well,
meant is
but I'm
group.
saying the group. They usually
Sorry.
start with the back.
Sorry, I misspoke.
No,
Group.
no.
And they
You
go
get
forward.
like you have group A, B, and C. A
Right.
gets on first, but they can sit wherever there's an empty seat.
Wherever they want. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can
Yeah.
buy your way into the
I don't know.
A.
It's been so long since I've flown on an airplane that I haven't had to put up with any of this crap.
They have jet engines
Yeah.
now, Alex.
Do they really?
Sorry.
Even if you pay the extra money, by the time you get on, all those pre-board people have already taken all the good seats. So
Yeah.
it's really just ridiculous.
I don't give a crap. If I'm going on a flight, I just, I'll take a Valium or a Xanax. Just put myself out,
Right.
and I just sleep through the whole damn thing. Yes, Jeff.
I just came through Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the worst place.
What were you taking? Delta? Delta?
It's terrible. It's just jammed with a million people. It was so far that you didn't even know where you were going to get out of the place.
Wow. I don't
Well,
know.
they say that's
what-
that's the most confusing airport in the country, I believe.
I'm trying
Right.
to. You know something? You know what I found was a good airline though. Every time I've taken it, now I don't know if it's changed, and some of you may have done it, and you can tell me differently. Virgin. Virgin is what you're going? No, Charlie?
I said I've never been on.
Oh, you've
Virgin.
never been on Virgin.
I haven't either.
Beautiful, beautiful interiors. Good service, solid service. At least when I went, and this was many years ago, but they were considered the best in the business that way.
I just read though that I just read because what's his face was on the news with his space crap.
Yeah.
He sold that airline. Yeah. No, the other.
He
Oh,
did sell
Branson.
it. Yeah, he sold it.
France,
Yeah, he sold that too. I think they said Alaska Air. So there is no more Virgin Airlines. is
Yeah,
what
but
they
he
said.
does own Virgin Galactic.
Yeah. But I flew on Virgin once, and yes, it was a very nice plane. It was
By the
very
way,
modern.
the more I've been thinking about the Bezos thing, to begin with, have you ever noticed that the Amazon logo looks like a penis? Have you ever noticed that? It's you know what I'm talking about.
Kind of like this and bald on the top.
They tried they tried with to do a Nike swoosh but make it look like a penis. All right. You saw the rocket he took off in, didn't you? It looks more like a penis. I mean, it's got a crown and it's got the shaft and the whole thing. But last night I was complaining, and I will complain again tonight about this. How dare this guy call these people who went up in that thing astronauts?
Right.
I mean, that's going to be that'd be a real blow to Neil Armstrong or John Glenn
Right,
or any of the
right.
people who are floating around right now up in the in the space lab, the space station. I mean, these people work in space. They know how to fly those things to a certain extent. And all these guys did, they were riders on an amusement ride.
There's not one control. It's just completely autonomous, and you just sit your ass in a seat. That's all you do.
Well, that's what you do when you're going on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So how dare you cheapen the name of astronauts and of the accomplishments these brave men and women have had over the years in doing what is essentially very dangerous work. How dare you besmirch them by calling yourself astronauts and giving everybody little wings who went on the flight? It says, yes, Tony.
I don't want to sound like an ageist because I watched it. That woman, I know she could have been an astronaut. She was 81. I'm not being an ageist
No,
because
that's fine.
she's
That's
got
fine.
braver than me.
That's
Wouldn't
fine.
that be dangerous for her? I mean, how big could it have been if they threw her
But to
on the
begin
thing?
with, she had been an astronaut.
That's what I was reading.
Yeah.
She had been.
She
She
had
never
been an
got to go on
astronaut.
the
She had always been passed up for flight status. Okay. Now that somebody on CBS the other day said, and no women really went into space. And I'm thinking, then who died in the Challenger?
Sally Ride.
Sally
That's
Ride
right.
died in the
Kirsty
Challenger.
McCullough.
Yeah,
Oh, Kristen McCullough. That's
Right.
the one.
was-
That was Big
what-
Joke.
There was another one.
Big
There was another one
Joke.
also, though.
No, but Sally Ride. Didn't Sally Ride?
Yeah,
die?
she went into space. Yeah.
Sally Ride
She
went
was
into
okay.
space
Well, I know
also.
she went into space, but
Yeah.
didn't she die in the Challenger? It was Christy McCullough?
No.
Kristen
Christy
McCullough.
McCullough was the teacher that went up
Yeah.
in the
Teacher,
challenge.
which I thought was
There were
great.
2 women on the Challenger. I believe.
1986.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I think there was another woman that got killed in the other one. That
Yeah, and Atlantis, whatever it was.
the one that was coming
Columbia.
back. The Columbia.
Columbia.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is not like this is the first woman to go up. You know, I mean, it's just, but it bothered me. It just really bothered me, and it was such a stupid space flight anyway. This is what they do for tests. Let it go up a little bit, let it come down. Let's see how it does. You know, let's not really go up there. I mean, it's not like they went to the space station. You know, it's not like they circled in one orbit. They didn't even
And you
do
know what
that.
didn't
They
get me
went
out?
up, they came down.
I was watching it on with Jim Cramer, that channel. I forgot the channel, the Money Channel, and
Yeah.
they were making it
CNBC.
sound like, yeah, and you know what they were making it sound like? This is like a step ahead for aviation.
Oh, no.
How is this going to benefit anybody?
No.
Nobody.
You want to talk about space ahead? SpaceX is doing the hard lifting. You know, they're doing all the hard lifting. Yes,
mean,
Alan had his hand up. Let me go to Alan.
I just wanted to respond to Tony's. This is not sarcastic, but she was an astronaut, the gal that went up.
Yeah.
At 81 years old, she is in the last probably quarter of her life, and she wanted to go up and see what
Oh, I
space
don't have
was
a
like.
problem.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it was fine. You know,
I think
mean,
so, too.
They also sent up a kid. You know,
He had to miss his dental appointment, but he went
yeah,
up.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, that the reason he got to go up is because another guy who did paid 28. How much was it? $28 million was it
Yeah.
to go on it? Because it was a raffle. They were raffling it off for.
Yeah.
I heard they called Alex Bennett, but he didn't answer his phone.
But anyway, this guy couldn't go. He said, "I have." It turns out I have another appointment. I mean, come on, what kind of a lame answer is that? I've got another
I think
appointment.
I'm scared to go up.
What? SpaceX,
I don't have the 10 minutes
SpaceX
to sit
wants
in a
you.
chair.
SpaceX wants you to
Yeah.
go to Mars. I mean, what?
Yeah,
another
I'm holding
appointment.
out for another
Well, I
run.
mean, you of course you don't want to miss your dental appointment because they'll charge you for it. You know, but they kept the 28 million.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, Charlene.
Well, thank you, Alex, for putting your finger on what was wrong with it, because I knew there was something wrong. And last night and tonight, you know, what you've just said,
Yeah.
that's right. I knew that I didn't like it
It's
for
just that
some
I've
reason.
always
It was
loved I've always loved space travel and what space entails and the future of space. I mean, the only thing that bothers me is I'm so old I probably won't see a lot of these milestones like getting to Mars. I think
Right.
if I live 2 years, I'll get to see us land on the moon. You know, again. All right. This time
Maybe they'll take you to Mars.
Anyway, I mean, the point is that you know, it's a lot of I have a lot of love for that. And when if Bezos did it and said, "Look at what we did, wasn't this fun?" Blah 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 blah. But no, here's your astronaut pin. I mean,
Yeah, you got the
come
pin, too.
on, I am
Right.
sorry.
Oh, the thing that pissed me off is thank you, Amazon customers, for paying. for it.
Yes.
Yeah, when he
Yes.
said that, yeah.
Right.
Oh man, that frosted.
And by
me.
the way, the same day he said that, I got a thing from Amazon saying they're changing their terms and conditions
I saw the same
Right.
thing.
Yeah, I got that too. yeah.
about returns. Okay, is that how he's going to pay for this thing? You know.
At least
What are they,
Branson
what are they
didn't play
changing? Because
that
I
game.
saw that email and I just deleted it.
It
What
was
are they
just
changing?
something about if before you could like just appeal to them if you had a complaint. Now you have to go to court to complain.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I deleted it too, man.
Well, I said you
Oh,
can.
like I'm
go
going to go
for it.
hire a lawyer. I'm going to spend many thousands of dollars to
Yeah.
get my book back from from Amazon. You kidding me? But it seemed like, oh well, I had all this money I put out for the rocket, and we have to find a way to save money. Thank you very much, Jeff Bezos. But
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I saw it. Delete. I'm not going to
Yeah.
read all the garbage.
But the thing is that, I mean, they didn't do anything. It's nothing with the future of space. It's only something for space tourism, which is meant to make Jeff Bezos money. He's already got $100 million worth of tickets sold for the next rockets. And one of them's going to explode because they've only sent up 3 of these things successfully.
I heard they have
it's
a
like a
seat.
1 in like 200 something chance they can have a problem. So it's gonna be,
Yeah.
I hope that Trump's on that seat,
Yeah.
on that flight.
Well, Charlie, what do you think about this? Because I know that you love space and the whole future of space and so on.
Well, I mean, I agree with you that they're besmirching the term astronaut by calling these people astronauts. But I would love to go up into space, but I'm nowhere ever going to get $28 million. So
Well, it's only going to be 250,000.
Let's start a GoFundMe thing for Charlie so he can go up.
So he can go to space. I just, I just figured it's just like, it just bothered me. Just really bothered me. And taking all this credit and stuff because he's trying to put himself ahead of Elon Musk. But he hasn't put himself ahead of Elon Musk. Elon Musk is sending up rockets all the time. He's sending them to the space station. He's sending them up and releasing satellites. This guy has just simply got a penis-shaped rocket that goes up and takes people on a roller coaster ride.
It would have been great when it got up to altitude if it started squirting white stuff out the top.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't even do what the Astro Chimp did.
What?
Remember the
Yeah, go
Astro?
ahead. They did an orbit, right, with the chimp.
Yeah,
That's right, the chimp did an orbit.
This wasn't an orbital flight.
Chimp's
No.
name?
No.
This wasn't an orbital flight at all, and
Like a penis, it got up and then it went down.
yeah.
Unclimactic.
But look what Bezos has been accomplishing. It's incredible. He's got a whole plan to get people to Mars and be on Mars, live on Mars.
Please take Trump as your first passenger.
What were you going to say, Matt?
The other thing that he mentioned was, my vision is that we can offload all of our factories and all this production stuff, offload that out into the world, and then the blue ball can stay nice and green. How the hell are you going to do that? That would take 1,000 years.
Well, the dream that Bezos has, not Bezos, but Elon Musk has, is that within the next 50 years, he expects to have 1 million people on Mars.
Really? He come on.
Wow.
Yeah. What they're going to do, what they've got to do is we can only go to Mars once every couple of years because there is a point. Is it the apogee or the perigee, Charlie?
You have to do it when Mars is at its closest point to
Was
the
that
Earth.
the apogee or the perigee? I can't remember.
It's called the closest point.
Well, it's called
perigee is the closest.
it's perigee, closest point to Mars. They could probably go at any time. It's just that it takes longer, much longer,
And it's a lot more expensive.
and a lot more expensive.
fuel.
Yeah. So the plan is this: that he's going to send one up there. Take 2 years to. It takes 18. What is it? How many months does it take? 8 months, 9 months, I think.
Yeah.
I used to
right,
hear 2 years, but I guess
It's
they've
a
shortened.
2-year round trip.
2-year round trip. Okay. Anyway, they take the thing and they send it to Mars, and then the next one is they're going to send tons of them all to Mars at the same time, a whole fleet, which is going to piss the Martians off no end.
So is his plan then to have everybody procreate on the planet then? Let them
Well, no, the plan is
spawn there?
To gentrify Mars.
that they can send in the massive rockets that he's got a ton of people, and just send a whole bunch of them at the same time, okay, as a fleet that will all land on Mars, and then they will use the rockets, which are those big rockets, to live in temporarily until they can set up the pods and so on to live in on Mars. And then there's, have you heard this one from?
It's like a comic book.
Well, here's the way in which Elon Musk has supposed that maybe we can bring oxygen to Mars.
How is he planning to do this?
He wants to nuke the polar caps.
Oh no!
Not a stupid idea. Not a stupid idea. Listen, at last we've finally gone to a planet we can't ruin.
Yeah.
Because it's already ruined, all right? All we can do is improve it. We can be like the Jews of space. We can take an arid land and grow stuff on it. But he just has all the... And so far as fuel to get back, we can make fuel out of what is already on Mars, because what Musk is using for fuel now is methane. And there is methane on Mars. Yeah. Or either that, or people could just fart into a jar. You know, that's always
Make our own methane.
Make our own methane.
I'm going to go to Coney Island again.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, well, I would, listen, if somebody wanted to send me up in that rocket, I would do it in a second. But I wouldn't come back and say, hey, I'm an astronaut now. No. But I would have gotten on that rocket the other day, you know.
Alex, when I was watching it live with my brother, I was like, can you imagine if this thing blew up?
Well, no, everybody was waiting for it to.
Right, I
was like,
so
it could happen right now. You never know. I wasn't happy because what would be bigger, him going up or blowing up? I was just wondering to myself, like, I think blowing up would have been bigger.
Yeah, we wouldn't hear the end of it.
What do you think, Alex?
Every hour of every day for the next week would be, Elon Musk, here's the history of Jeff Bezos. Let's look back on the life of Jeff Bezos, you know, a pioneer who died for space.
Do you think they would have made jokes, Alex, about him right away, like the delivery or something? You think they would have been all over?
There would have been. There already were the Amazon jokes on this flight, you know.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So anyway, it's you know, I just want us to go back, and I want us to do what we got to do. And I had somebody again last night on the show, who was it, said, you know, we have so many other things to deal with here on Earth, we should do that first. And my argument back was, yeah, the government should do that, but the government isn't doing this. The people who are doing this is private industry. And so, you know, that private industry does put money into a lot of good works and so on and so forth. But that's not their job. Their job is to get us into space and to make money out of it. I don't care. If Elon Musk wants to make money out of space, bless him. You know, just get us there. You know. Do you agree with me, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have this without the space program.
Mm-hmm.
Computers were the size of the Empire State Building before a space program.
Well, actually, the first space capsules that went on had computers in them, but it had very little computing power. Your iPhone could have gotten us to Mars. I mean, that's how powerful it is in comparison to what they had.
But that's how come they got smaller and smaller computers, is because they had to fit them in the spacecraft.
Yeah,
that's how we got the microchip.
And there's the EKGs and stuff that save people's lives in hospitals. That came from monitoring the astronauts in space.
Yeah.
It's also how we got cordless drills.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, that's
because they needed a way to do it without a wire.
Well, the cordless screwdriver, to me, is the greatest invention of all time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't care about the invention of the wheel. The electric screwdriver. Yes, Charlene.
It's getting close to the end.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to look, Alex. I'm a Nielsen viewer, so I'm watching you right now. You know, and I'm clicking that I'm watching you.
Oh, really?
Yep. You think you're getting ratings or something?
Well, I don't know. If you say you're watching me, it will. It will.
Yeah.
You
My
know.
whole family is watching you right now.
So you're a Nielsen family?
Yes, I just signed up for that. Yeah.
You know, if
Do they pay you for that? Sorry.
Yeah,
No.
you get paid.
Oh, you do
They
now?
send you little checks. Yeah.
It's about $10 or something, isn't it? It's not
I don't know. I got 50, and then I got 75,
really.
and then I have to wait and see how much more I'm going to get.
Do they want a
I did
blowjob with that
in
or
the
anything?
70s. I didn't get paid a dime.
Huh?
Really?
Right. That was volunteer.
But yeah, I mean, what was it that they used to have? They had the people meters they used to put in.
Right.
But they didn't work out too well for them, I don't think. Because it would recognize when there was somebody in the room watching TV, and people would leave the TV set on, and the dog would be sitting there in the room watching TV, and they would get credit, you know.
Right. Right.
But it's terrible, you know.
Oh,
But,
Alex, one more quick question for you.
Sure.
I know we're almost over. I'm curious about your eye procedure. Can
Yeah.
you just explain what they're going to do?
What they're going to do is they're going to lift the lid up above here.
Okay.
If you notice my eye, do you notice that the lid is covering the eyeball about halfway? Well, that impedes my vision a bit. And you know, if I open up my eyes like this, I can see more. But they're gonna lift it. They're gonna cut it.
I've heard of
lift
that,
it.
Alex.
And then they're gonna do
I
the
wanna
bottom
get it.
as well, not the bags, but the bottom lid. And then I will look like somebody beat the crap out of me. What I want to do, what I want to do. Well, no, what I want to do.
Are they
is
going to cut it with a scalpel?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ah, ugh.
Well, yeah, well,
And then from the inside.
well, he said we don't put you out, but then he said they're giving me
Twilight.
no,
Twilight.
the Twilight drug, which is what Michael Jackson was taking, and I said, well, cool, you know, that's fine. I mean, well, I know much is happening. And he said, no, you'll just be alert enough that when I ask you to open your eyes wide, you will. In other words, I need your cooperation a little bit in this. But he says he's done 2,500 of these things and never had a problem with a single one of them. The only thing that might happen is that he didn't do one equally with the other one. He might have to go back in and redo it a little bit or something. But you know, but
Will you be bandaged up when you get out? You know, so you can't see it all for a while.
No. You can see, but you have to put ice packs on your eyes constantly for 3 days.
For the swelling.
For 3 days, yeah. And don't take any aspirin. And what was the other thing he said I can't do? When I sleep, I have to sleep on my back for 3 days, and otherwise, I'm good to go.
Other than that,
you know, I'm not looking forward to it, but I want to get it over with because I think, you know, it will improve my vision, you know, and things like that, you know. So, and I'm always feeling tired because my eyes are. And when I'm lying trying to watch TV, I have a harder time watching TV because.
Will you have stitches?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'll look like Frankenstein's monster before this thing is over.
Oh, this will be fun.
And then when I'm all black and blue, really black and blue in the beginning, I want to walk down the street with Marjorie without dark glasses on and make them think she beat the crap out of me.
Right.
Anyway, hey, listen, everybody. Thank you, Matt. Call us more often. You're great. Great having you.
I will try. Thank you.
Yeah. And Alan, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you very much to Charlie Wallace. Good to see you again. Hope it rains again tomorrow night. Charlene Martinez, always good to have you here. And Tony, you know, do it more often. And John Larkin, thank you so much. You have something to say, or did you just wave goodbye?
Bye-bye.
It's waving goodbye. And Jeff, always good to have you here too. Anyway, that's our citizen panel for tonight. Let me give them a big wave goodbye, and they can give a big wave goodbye at me. Okay, there we go. And that's it, everybody. I hope you wave back at them, everybody. Anyway, Jack Bishop is next. He's here with the intersection. And then we'll be back here again tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, all right? And be sure to wear a mask. And by the way, if you're going to call Jack, he's on Skype at GabNet Live, okay? Have a nice night, everybody. Bye-bye.